Hello, everyone. You are live with Jonathan Manus, aka the One Leg Bandit. And as you travel through life, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to run into. But one thing is for absolute certain: whenever you meet folks, it's not for chance. You just when you got to take every meeting and just hold it dear, and you never know when you're going to come across people further down the line. So, um, today, I have a special guest, Michael Wheels Parise. He's a world-renowned comedian, and he's spending some time with us to talk about his journey, his past, and what he's going to do in moving forward here. So, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Michael.
Hey, John. Hey, Jonathan. How you doing, man? How's it
I'm,
going?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
My pleasure.
LinkedIn and the world's been rough here lately, and we all need to laugh. And I just wanted to know, first and foremost, what's your thoughts on that? How do you feel right now? Are you tired of being cooped up? What's going on with you, man?
Well, I'm never cooped up. I'm always doing something. We always have our hustle going on. That's why I appreciate what you do. Obviously, you're always on top of your game. I've watched you out there too. I've seen your videos, and I think you're doing a great thing. I think the world does need comedy, but it always has. Comedy's always been since vaudeville. It's a time it's a stress reliever. It's a place you can go in your head and laugh and forget about all the problems. And sometimes when you forget about those problems, you just put them aside and say they really weren't that. It wasn't really that worth it to have in my head. So oh, my door just opened.
It's all good. So, and just like that, we'll lead right into the next thing. Our meeting was a chance meeting back in the day. I was selling the old business, and you come down and checked it out. We ended up not doing that deal, but we got to meet each other and just briefly. And ever since that moment in our lives, I've been following you. And I was telling you the story. Me and my wife sitting in bed, and then boom, you pop up on Showtime, and you're taking over the world and keep moving forward. And just want to know how's things been since Showtime, and what's going on with you.
Well, I did that Showtime special, The Blue Show, with Dice I think it was like 2015, like 5 or 6 years ago. And, prior to that, I did a lot of other shows with him. Of course, I've been touring the country with him for 30 some odd years. I'm also in my entrepreneurial world. I like to try different things, and comedy it always comes back to me, no matter what I'm doing. It'll always come back to me, whether I open up a restaurant or a catering company or a comedy, or a comedy club venue that I'm looking to get involved with. Whatever I do, comedy is always there. So, I just keep on moving forward. I don't think too much of the future. I let destiny take its path and kind of guide me on its way. And I kind of find it as I see it instead of planning. I'm not a big planner. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, but I'm not a big planner. I believe in, everything is for a reason, and like attracts like, and eventually you just get there. You create your own why, of course. And I see, I always come back to comedy, but comedy always takes me other places. Like right now, I'm getting involved in customer service. I'm really saddened, to see a lot of comedians out there in their 50s and 60s and 40s even that are still out there in the grind on the road, living out of small, cheap hotels and comedy condos and can't get a gig. Comedy clubs are closing. Venues aren't there. Too many restrictions. The cancel culture is trying to take over, which they won't. And I think what comedians need to do is divert and use their powers and their talents in other ways. And I believe the other ways they can do that is in customer service, in the retail world, in the business world, in the sales world, to actually make people laugh and happy and companies successful. Comedians, we have a very powerful mouth and mind, and we can make that work in companies. They'll pay good money, but you must train yourself on the front end, and of course in the customer service world to get that way. And I'm looking to start a little course teaching comedians and other people how to close deals, customer service, and how to use your talent in other ways other than just the stage.
Absolutely. And sales, is always going to be there. Customer service is always going to be there. And when you have a powerful voice like yourself, and a feel-good voice, you're a great leader. You can transition to be a great leader because you know how to utilize words and motivation to move people in the right direction.
Correct.
And I'm glad to see that you're doing that. And watching your career through LinkedIn, I can just see the little snippets of what you're doing and where you're trying to go with that. And if you would expound a little bit upon that, where are you trying to go with this? Like, what's the next 6 months, a year look like for you?
I would say the next 6 months, I'm going to focus on putting a blueprint together on my business that I'm starting, that I'm launching through my company called Blue Light Talent. I actually signed up for StreamYard. I'm going to get involved in doing live stream on my other podcast, Don't Eat All the Meatballs, which is a comedy podcast. And then I'm going to launch my new podcast called Retail Unmasked, which is about the retail business behind the scenes, but it's not an expose. We're not exploiting it. It's just kind of hanging out in the break room, in other words, and talking about, I'm going to have other people on from the retail world, in food and beverage, big box stores, to talk about what it's like, so that people can see what it's really like behind the scenes, in a very positive way. And I'm going to start teaching people how to close deals. When I was in Los Angeles for many years, before I made it as a comedian, I would work in, I hate to say the word boiler rooms, but I'd work in boiler rooms and I would develop techniques to sell. So I was teaching people how to close deals. I was in Vegas teaching people how to close deals. I was in Los Angeles teaching people how to close deals, how to use comedy as a technique to get to the point, to get to the bottom line, to get to the card, and how to do it gracefully. So I'll be doing a lot of teaching. I'm looking at in customer service and in closing deals, and I want to get comedians involved in the world of customer service and utilize their talent. I was talking to a comedian the other day, and I won't mention his name, and he was sad. He was like, I can't get work. I'm 60 years old. I can't get work. I'm like, but you're one of the funniest guys out there. He goes, yeah, but nobody wants to book me. I can't put butts in seats. And I'm like, well, have you ever thought about using it and getting involved in customer service and in the retail world to use your talent and make other companies successful? And he thought it was a great idea. And that kind of lit a spark in my head saying, I can do this.
Absolutely. And you just made me think about this, but in my industry, maintenance veteran medical, I have to train so many people on so many different things. But through your journey, people who helped you get to where you are, we all have to work together. And if people would recognize that we're all connected and just lift each other up, we'll all be so much further along. And I teach that in my company. I know you feel the same way. You've had some people lift you up, correct?
I agree. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I really feel one of the worst things in the world for anyone is to get stuck in a position and not know how to get out of it, and only rely on that one thing that you know how to do for the rest of your life. We're only using 10% of our capacity, of our talents, of our brain capacity. If you know how to tap into at least another 5%, can you imagine where you can go? I mean, it's really, you look at a lot of these stars and a lot of comedians and singers, and they just got stuck, and they don't know what to do. And they have no idea the talent that they can bring in other parts of the world, to other companies, There are companies out there that want people like what I do, to come in the room and motivate them to get more sales, to be a lead, to teach leadership, how to create a positive environment, to create great morale, to motivate the company to go out there and, not just hurrah, but there's a technique. It's a psychological approach, and using comedy and psychology together to get to from A to B.
Amen on that. It's just a lot of folks are born natural business folks, and they know how to do the business side of things. But you're right. The culture of your business is really what makes your business. And I've seen this happen before in some different companies that I've been involved with. A bad culture comes in and the whole company just tanks, and there's no morale. It's just like you said, blah. And
Wow.
That is a bad feeling when you're stuck in something and you can't grow. So, with that being said, your future looks bright on the business side of things. Do you have anything going on with comedy? You got any shows coming up? Anything you're going to do with that?
Yeah, I'm going to do some stuff. I'm not looking to tour too much anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm not looking, because to me, when you're on the road and you're touring and you're doing cruise ships as a comedian, even though you're moving, you're stuck, and that world is done. Yes, I will perform. There are certain theaters I might go back to. Private venues, corporate shows, I got a lot of Zoom calls. I do a lot of Zoom shows, a lot of happy hours with Michael Wheels Parise, where the company will hire me to come in, and especially during pandemic, I did a lot of them during pandemic. Actually, it was happy hour with Michael Wheels Parise, where I would go into their office and everybody would be home, and we do a Zoom call, and I would host it. We had bourbon tastings. We'd have just a regular happy hour and discussion, and I would kind of guide the discussion on and keep the flow going, and everybody would be in their homes, remotely, and we'd have 400 or 500 people there. It was great, fantastic. Those shows were great. I want to continue doing that. I think even without pandemic, that could be something that would be fun. And of course, I will be performing. And of course, my Don't Eat All the Meatballs podcast is starting to really blow up, and I'm getting involved in that. And I want to do more things with the comedy podcast world. I want to start maybe producing there. We'll see. But my show is starting. We're right now in the top 150 comedy podcasts in the world, and we're growing. We're not at Rogan style yet, but we hopefully will be getting there soon.
Everybody's chasing Rogan, but it truthfully is a great way, and it's still kind of the only way that you can still be yourself. It's like they'll let you be yourself on voice, but when you start putting video with it, they want to clamp that down because it gets in their minds. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean?
It's powerful.
It is powerful, and the freedom that we have as Americans, we've got to keep it. We've got to keep fighting for our freedom. We got to keep fighting for freedom of speech and freedom of being a comedian or being whatever you want to be, but just let folks do it, because we don't want to be robots. Just like painting someone into a corner in a job, you can paint humans into a corner of being a human, and then we're all miserable.
Absolutely. Once you change the freedom part of speech and what you can do and the choices we have in life, we might as well just change the name of the country at this point, because that's where things get, we were built on freedom. And there are people out there right now fighting for it every day. And there are people out there against it. And, we're America, and we're always going to be a free country, no matter what people think. And there are people out there like Joe and myself and other podcasters and comedians, Dave Chappelle. We all talk. And, we're never going to stop what we're doing. And the cancel culture, they don't even realize that we've canceled them. I canceled the cancel culture. I don't allow them in my shows. I don't allow them to listen to my show. I don't want them showing up. I can care less about them. They mean nothing to me. They are absolutely zero in my world. I hope they know that. And just don't show up. I don't want them. And we all feel that way. So the cancel culture will cancel themselves out before you know it. You won't even hear about them anymore. But like Joey Rogan, I know Joe for years. Him and I were basically broke together in Los Angeles back in the early '90s. We would be hanging out at his house in Studio City. Joe never knew this was going to happen. Joe never thought that he would be the #1 podcast in the world. We used to drive to La Jolla together, San Diego and La Jolla, to do shows together in his Acura Legend, and he'd pick me up at my house in Hollywood, and it was the stupidest thing. We were idiots. Comedians are morons when it comes to that. We're not trying to change the world. Don't believe me. Why would you believe me? I'm a comic. You don't take what I say serious, but listen to the people that I'm bringing onto my show. These are experts. You are in your industry, right? But you brought on an expert, a comedian today, to talk about this because you trust the comic. So I would bring you onto my show because I trust what you do. We're bringing each other onto shows to discuss opinions and how we feel. Why would you cancel our opinions out? Why? Who made you like they said years ago? Who died and made you boss? Remember that?
Yeah. And look, you know why they put a switch on and off on a TV? Because you can just turn it on and off.
That's right.
So just turn it off if you don't like it, But we're all moving in the right track. I believe this year, I think everybody's seeing everything. You can see that, and everybody's just moving forward and trying to get back on track and to do. My mantra is to do the right thing every day. You never have to worry about your pay, and that's a fact.
That's right.
And as long as you keep grinding, and I see you grinding, I love your story, and I just am so thankful that you took some time here to talk with me and all the people that watch my podcast. What I'm doing here at Maintenance Veteran Medical, I help people win federal contracts, and I bring the highest quality products to the VA and to the DoD. I'm an amputee veteran. I was in the VA, and I started seeing all these cheap products, and I could see that people were buying stuff just to be buying it. They wasn't looking at what they're really buying. They're spending that dollar, but they wasn't looking at what they were spending the dollar on.
Right.
So I'm just here to make aware that you can spend the same dollar and get a much better product, through Maintenance Veteran Medical. And that's my story. And I'm trying to make sure the veterans know that there's someone out here fighting to bring them higher quality products.
And, I really appreciate and thank you for your service. Without people like yourself, these are the true heroes of the world, and going out there and sacrificing your lives to make this country free. So you should absolutely fight for that every day. And in the position that you're in now, you can still fight for it every day. And now you have the media on your side. You can influence people. You have the most powerful tool in the world right in your hand every day, and that's our phones and our video and things like StreamYard to be able to do that. So we're still fighting the fight, and I really appreciate what you've done for us, and of course all the veterans in the world. My father was a World War II veteran, Purple Heart recipient, and he passed since. But I think about it all the time. I had my uncle was a fighter pilot in World War II. I mean, and it goes on, and keep on fighting, man. Just keep on fighting.
We will keep grinding. So I want to ask you, Michael, do you have anything that's been in your mind, a story, anything you'd like to tell to our viewers here today? Just something where people will have to say, you know what, I've got to go to that Maintenance Veteran Medical video and pull up Michael Parise and find out what he said. Is there anything that you would like to talk about here as we wrap this up?
Well, I can give you, first of all, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
I know you have a backdrop there. Where is that backdrop? Does it tell you where it is?
You know what? I just pulled it off of Google. I know that you probably played there because I think it's linked to your name.
Okay, because it looks like it looks like somewhere I've been before, a stage I performed at. So I think it's very funny that you're there and I'm here.
Look, I didn't want to do all the copyrighted photos of you, so I was just like, I'm taking a place where he's been before.
No, I love it. Well, I'll give you a motivational story. I was in LA. I moved out there in 1990, and I was grinding every night at the Comedy Store, the world famous Comedy Store on Sunset, and I'm of course that's my home when I'm in LA. But when I got married, and I was and I'm going to be very frank with the story. So when I got married, I decided I don't know if I can do this. I have a baby on the way. My wife and I were going to be new parents, and I'm like, I can't go on the road every night. I can't do this. There's no life to live. I'm a very intelligent man. I could figure it out. I'll do something else, and I'll still keep comedy in my world, but I got to figure it out. So I was in Miami, and I was at a hotel in Miami. I was performing at the Miami Improv, and to be quite frank with you, I was smoking marijuana a little bit that night, and I just happened to be smoking a joint. And I'm saying to myself, what am I going to do? And as you know, if you've ever smoked it before, I get creative. Okay, it makes me creative. So I came up with an idea, and I said, I'm going to sell cannolis. I'm going to sell cannolis, and I'm going to mail order them to people because I make the best cannoli in the world. And I'm going to call the company Cannoli Kings, and I'm going to mail order cannolis all over the country, and different varieties and different flavors. And I'm going to hit the celebrity market in LA. And I'm going to do it. So I went out back to LA and I bought the name CannoliKings.com, $10 investment. And I started advertising, if you remember, on Craigslist back then, and everybody was starting to buy my cannolis. I'm like, this is really, I had no idea this was starting to take off. I was making like $300-400 a day. And then I said, well, now I'm being an executive chef. I'm going to get into the catering world. So I told my wife, I'm like, let's get into the catering world. And I opened up a catering company called Cannoli Kings Catering out of a 1-bedroom apartment in West Hollywood, California. And literally, I was doing office parties every day. People would hire us to come in and do offices. And we would put up a little buffet and a whole deal, and all the people would eat my food. And I would cook it out of my kitchen out of this 1-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles. And then within 3 years, I became the #1 catering company in Los Angeles. And I went from a 1-bedroom apartment to a 14,000 square foot kitchen in North Hollywood, servicing probably 85% of the celebrities out there, and becoming LA's #1 catering company, the People's Choice, through Fox and through City Search. So that just launched my catering company, and I just took it to another whole level. But what I'm trying to get to is that you can do anything you want to do as long as you refocus and you reformat and recharge your brain and think differently, right? And use a talent that you have, which was, of course, food, and bring it into the world and say, I'm going to focus on this now. I'm going to make this successful, and no one's going to stop me. and I'm going to become big and I'm going to become great because of it. And that's what I did. And then of course I moved on from that and did other things. But that's my story of how you can go from 0 to 100 miles an hour on a $10 domain name.
Hey, I feel you. I know exactly. I kind of know exactly what you're talking about. We started Manus Veteran Medical in 200 square feet, and last year was just absolutely amazing in 3 years. And you're right. The thing is the focus, the drive, and just saying I'm not going to fail. And I appreciate that story because a lot of things I do is try to motivate people to start their own business. Go out there, do it, start federal contracting. I try to push them to do it, and they're so scared. But you're right. It really does come down to buying the domain name and just doing it, just go for it.
Focusing on the name. If you look at the name in your head, you keep on looking at it, things will pop in your head. It's focusing on that, not focusing on anything but that name. And then before you know it, the name becomes a reality.
I love the Cannoli Kings. It sounds great. I mean, in the movie The Dirt, Motley Crue, they say shitty band name, shitty band. It really does matter in business.
That's right. That's right.
It really does.
I love what you're doing too, man. And by the way, I don't smoke weed every night either anymore. Just want to make that disclaimer. That was in 2001.
Well, look, Michael, since then, think about it now. They know now that marijuana does help in certain cases. And a lot of the people that did marijuana back then knew it. They just didn't want to let it go yet. But now they know. And even in the VA, I don't mind bringing marijuana products to the VA because the veterans say it helps them. And if it's legalized, I'm down. I'm down with anything that can help.
I am 100%. I'm 100% on you with that. I'm a complete activist for that. Even in Los Angeles, I had a medical card back when they were, before you can even get them. They're not even popular, and I believe in it 100%. And I feel that people can use medical cannabis for the right reasons. It can help people with psychological problems. It can with a lot of issues in your body. It's just a fabulous. If you're doing that, that's fabulous. I really appreciate that, and I'm not against it at all. If we, I would smoke right now with you if we were together. I have no problem with it.
Well, the only thing I don't like is, look, me and you both spend a lot of time in Vegas. I don't like that. It's like they pump it out of the bushes in Vegas, like everywhere you want the smell. But it is what it is. It's just I am definitely pushing for that for the veterans, though. And the VA is actually listening to folks now. The doctors in the VA are listening, and they're saying, okay, we'll do this type of cannabis or any type of pills or edibles, and they're really listening. So change is happening with the VA.
That's good. And where do you see the VA going? And are they protecting all the veterans that are here, or are they? I keep on hearing that a lot of people are getting ignored still.
I can tell you this, it's getting better. Here's the problem with the VA. They don't have anybody to work. They're rotating people over so fast. People that I sell a product to this week has already quit and went on somewhere else. The labor shortage is real in the world in every single sector, and they're trying to fix that. And, I'm bringing solutions to fix that as well. But people just need to want to go back to work, in my opinion. How can somebody not want to work? I mean, I understand maybe not working, 50 hours, 70 hours a week, but, just a normal job, it makes me feel better. I don't know about you. I want to be doing something.
I agree. And I think it has a lot to do with our genre. We believe in the workforce. And I think what I've come up with in my head about the young people not wanting to work today as much, with the exception of a lot of young people, of course, that are working, but there are the ones that don't. And I contributed to the side hustle. If you go on TikTok, there's side hustles everywhere. You can make, $1,000 a day if you're a smart kid, and there are things you can do. And there are people that are video gamers that can make $3,000-4,000 a month. They get sponsorship. So to go out there and hustle in retail or hustle anywhere anymore, it's very hard to find the young generation doing that because of the side hustles. There are just so many of them out there that they're making money, not even leaving their house, and they're making money from their phones, and they're making money in cryptocurrency, and they're making money so many different places. Are they going to go get a job at Target? I don't think so. No. So I really find that the side hustle being a positive thing could also be a negative thing.
Agreed. I'm all down. If your side hustle is your job, crypto is your job, and you're going to watch it or whatever you want to do, I'm down with that. I'm just not down with people that just don't want to work in general.
Lazy people.
Yeah, lazy people. I want people to hustle and get that feeling of pride back. We need that back, and we're gonna get through this. As far as the sickness goes, I think people has realized that we can't stop it. maybe they can one day, but this is so fresh. It's going to hit people the way it's going to hit. My wife was in the hospital for 9 days. Some people make it, some people don't, but we've got to grind forward, as a country. So, getting on that is a whole nother topic. But Michael, I just want to say again, thank you. Is there I like to give my guests the last word for you. Anything else you'd like to
I really enjoyed doing your show today, Jonathan. I'll tell you the truth. I think you're onto a great thing here. I appreciate what you're doing. I see what you're doing out there, and keep doing that. If you want to see a different side of me, people, whoever's watching the show, if you want to see a different side of me or hear a different side of me, you can YouTube Wheels P is my YouTube channel, or you can just Google Michael Wheels Parise. And if you want to listen to my podcast, Don't Eat All the Meatballs, it's a comedy podcast. Don't be offended. It's what I do. And you can listen to that as well. And Don't Eat All the Meatballs. We're all over iTunes, Pandora, Spotify. And just keep on exercising your freedom of speech. And I appreciate what you're doing. And that's it, really. And thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And all of his details is down below. Just click on the YouTube links and just check them out. Let them roll and enjoy it and sit back and relax and laugh your butt off. So, Michael, you have a wonderful day, and I will holler at you later, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you so much. Everyone, that was Michael Wheels Parise, and another great person. He didn't have to do that today, but he took his time to tell his story and what's going on. And I hope you listen to that. Whenever you get to meet somebody who's been around the world, take some time, listen to them, and you never know when they're going to come back to meet you again and have a conversation. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day today, and I will holler at y'all later. The One Leg Bandit is out.